Hi, Mark.
Hi, Monica.
Thank you so much for taking the time today and for the opportunity to present my company, Gugu Guru.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to jump right in here. So Gugu Guru, I'm the founder and CEO. I founded Gugu Guru in 2015, and we are the leader in personalized commerce for the juvenile products industry. Using artificial intelligence and human expertise, Gugu Guru makes highly personalized product recommendations for parents. So the vision of Gugu Guru is a passionate online community of parents discovering products, sharing reviews, and monetizing their expertise. And really, I think this is a great time to kind of tell you a little bit about an inflection point that I had, which is actually kind of a twofold inflection point, because the monetizing their expertise is the new vision of the company. I've, as I mentioned, I launched the company in 2015, and we've experienced a lot of growth and have been fortunate enough to help many, many parents. But really, what my inflection point has been is that, many people have come to me while I've been building this business and have said, Bye Bye Baby or Walmart, those are your biggest competitors, or, or Baby List, or, any of the universal registries, Amazon. And what I've really discovered over the past 5 years is that those are actually not my biggest competitors at all. My biggest competitor has always been what I call the first mom. And that's the first mom in her group of friends or in her family to have a baby. And the person that everybody goes to and asks for that Google sheet of product recommendations to really help them build their registry and get geared up for starting a family.
Can we pause there, Monica, and just
of course
go back and just ask some questions and maybe give some advice?
Yes.
If you were to explain what your company is to, let's say, a 10-year-old, how would you do it in the most basic form?
Gugu Guru is a website that you go to get product recommendations based on your lifestyle and style.
Product recommendations for products for babies.
Products for parenting, yeah.
Is it babies, toddlers? Is it kids, or is
it's babies, toddlers, but it's also, we also make a lot of product recommendations for moms. So they don't necessarily fit into the baby category because they're more postpartum focused, and I suppose you could say that they're not necessarily juvenile products, but they are in the baby industry. Yes. Is
there an app, or is it just a website?
Right now, it's just a website with obviously a responsive website. But the app is something that we've talked about and would definitely consider for funding if we had funding.
Okay, so what I would recommend is, I always recommend this to people, but the first slide, just say what it is. So nowhere in the opening did you mention the word website. And then when I asked you to explain it to a 10-year-old, you said it's a website. So there's a little bit, it's so, you have a bias toward, thinking about this every day for years, that you just assume that people know it's a website. It's natural. It happens all the time. And you have to really just take a step back and say, somebody's never heard of this. They don't know anything. And thinking about it through the lens of a 10-year-old helps, just in the way you explain it. It's very, very basic, like what it is. It's a website where moms go to get recommendation, very, very basic, and try and really work on the wording so that you can get a couple sentences that really just explain it. So if somebody didn't know anything else, they at least know exactly what your business is. So I would always start with that slide. What is X?
Got it.
The second slide, which was your first slide, which is the vision, which is great. It's good to have the vision up front. Doesn't sound like necessarily a vision statement to me.
Okay.
When I think of a vision, I think of, what do you want to be if everything works exactly the way you're envisioning it 10 years from now? Like, what is it? Like, is it, do you envision having all moms in the country using this as the go-to place anytime they want a recommendation, or like what do you hope it'll be in 10 years if everything went according to your dream scenario? This, a passionate online community of parents discovering products, sharing reviews, and monetizing, is probably more like the first slide of kind of like, what is this?
Okay.
What is the company? Again, you want to make it more basic so a 10-year-old could understand it. This is a little hard, I think, for somebody to necessarily get, but some of these things probably need to be in that opening slide. It's a website, parents, moms go there, they discover products, they share reviews, and they get paid for recommendation, whatever it is. Like, use the most basic language possible so there'll be no confusion. Make the vision statement what you envision the company being in 10 years if everything worked perfectly to your plan. Then I would have the next slide, and you said the mission statement, but it wasn't on here. I always like to see the mission, to know that the entrepreneur is more of a missionary than mercenary. They're in it for something that's more meaningful than just, making a buck and selling the company. And I thought you had a really good mission there. This idea of, really empowering moms to help other moms, like this idea that the connection. Anytime you do a mission statement, I always ask the question, why? And if you get to the point where the mission statement is the why, there is no why, then you've got a great statement. Disney could say, our mission is to, create these amazing amusement parks and entertainment for people to enjoy and love. Like, well, why do you want to do that? We want to do that because we want to make people happy. Okay, great. Why do you want to make people happy? No, that's it. That's okay. Well, that's your mission then. You see what I mean? You kind of just keep asking that question until you flesh out the true reason why you're doing this. And I think it's good to think about it. I spend a lot of time in companies I've started, I might put in 50 hours of time into vision and mission, maybe more, of real time, like flushing out, thinking about every word. And the more you think about it, and people say, well, why are you wordsmithing? Why are you spending so much time? Because every word matters. This is what you want to be in 10 years, knowing exactly what you want to be and spending that time on it allows you to continue to flush it out, and until it starts to become ingrained in your head and you know exactly what you want to be. And then you work backwards and figure out, well, strategy wise, like, what do I need to do to pull this off? And so that would be my recommendation there. But let's go to the problem slide. So the one problem I have with the problem here is that this problem seems at a point in time. So hopefully next summer, we're back to the roaring 20s. Everyone's mostly vaccinated. We've got enough herd immunity. It's sort of like we're sort of getting back into it. And so people that lost their jobs will start getting jobs again. People will start connecting like never before. Brick and mortar stores will. It sort of negates a lot of the problem you've outlined here. So if I'm thinking, I want to know what the problem is over the next 10 years, not what the problem is today. So it's just something to keep in mind there as you pitched it. That's the first thing I was thinking about was, what's the problem beyond COVID? Because COVID's going to be gone.
Yeah.
What's the real problem? And I think you talked a little bit about it, the problem of there really being no place to go to get recommendations from moms like you. So there's places to go, but you're like, I don't know if those moms are different, because so I don't know if you're doing this, but I assume if you mentioned AI, you are, and this would be a big part of the pitch if I were you. But it's sort of like being able to get information about the moms, so you could segment the mom groups and show them recommendations from moms like them. There might be others out there, but none that I know of that are that good at really segmenting the moms, so that when you see recommendations, they really are moms, in your sort of demographic, the way in which you just think about the world. in the city, the suburbs, high income, low income, just thinking about all those variables, and so that when you show recommendations, it really feels like people in your circle, like, yeah, these are people just like me, and the recommendations will feel a lot more dead on. So that could be sort of the problem, and then your solution is how you solve that. Let's go to the next slide on solution. I'll let you carry on. I think that was a good pause. Just think about pausing, after you've made a point, and I'll try and give some more advice there if I can.
Perfect. So here, our solution is really the community empowering parents to give or get help. And that is, more than anything, the special sauce of Gugu Guru is the, this patent pending product recommendation engine that we've built. We collect a lot of data about moms, and there's a lot of targeting out there. As Facebook, everybody says, oh, if I'm going to, do a Facebook ad, they've got the best targeting. Nobody can target parents like Gugu Guru. Nobody asks, the level of information that Gugu Guru does. There's, of course, yes.
Yeah. So listening to you, Monica, sounds great. That sounds like a solution. It sounds differentiated. That's not what I'm reading from looking at the page here.
Right.
So,
yes.
So this idea of discover and contribute, share and earn, that's more about like, what is the business? Like, how does it work? I don't think that's necessarily your solution to the problem of people aren't getting personalized recommendations. They're seeing reviews, but it's not for people like them. Your solution is all about the artificial intelligence and the way in which you gather data and are able to personalize it in a way that's very different from any other recommendations and reviews that people will find on the web. So I would stay very focused on that. Like, that is the solution. That is why, someone would get excited about this business, because you've identified a problem in the market. Reviews aren't that great because I don't know who's giving them. You've got a company here which basically makes the reviews much more relevant. That's probably like one of the next slides here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we're getting to that, and I think having heard what you said before, I mean, this market size belongs a few slides up. But moms, word of mouth among moms, it's a very powerful thing.
My problem with this slide is it's not specific enough. It's not it's how many people exist and how much they're spending in general, but it's not specific enough to your product recommendation engine. So before I even would do this slide, I'd probably show a slide that shows just the revenue model, like how you make money, and then show the total market size that's possible given your revenue model, and then what percentage you think you can get. Okay, I would separate, by the way, the financials from the revenue model. Financials would be later on. It would literally be showing like an income statement of like, here's our revenue projections, here's gross margin, here are expenses, here's our EBITDA, and that'll tell you how much capital you're going to need because you're going to burn cash and stuff. That's kind of like that would be kind of toward the end. Here you just need a slide that explains how you make money. Like, what is the revenue model? And so nowhere in this slide does it say what you said about affiliate fees or mom. I don't even know, actually. Why don't you tell me in your own words?
This is just to be totally transparent here. This is a case of getting a lot of feedback from a lot of different people and not knowing what direction to go.
I wouldn't conflate what you're doing today versus where you want to go. I think it's much simpler to basically talk about where you want to go as being your revenue model, and then in a later part of the deck saying, let me just now show you the journey we're on from day one to today and going forward and how we're going to get there. So we're not there yet. You can mention that you're using affiliates now to bridge you, and that's kind of a small point. But I think it's confusing. You mentioned affiliates before. I wouldn't mention affiliates. I wouldn't mention anything that you're doing today that's not consistent with the long-term vision, to separate the two. You're talking about this big vision you have, how big the opportunity is. Here's the problem in the market. Here's how we're uniquely positioned to solve it. And then let me tell you about the business model. I think that's a common mistake that a lot of people do in the deck, is they conflate what's happening today versus where you want to go. And it's very hard for an investor to follow that. And also I don't think it sells as well, because what'll sell really well, if everything works the way you want it to work, here's what it looks like. Here's the business model. Here are the financial projections. And now let me walk you through, we're not there yet. And then you say, here's where we are, but here's step 2, step 3, step 4, and this is how we're going to get there.
I love that. And it is a story, and and I definitely see, I agree with you that I've complicated it when it's really not complicated.
Yeah, and even mentioning other revenue streams, 6 streams, 3 streams, it makes it feel like there's a lot of things for me to believe. Whereas make that one thing 80% in your mind. Say, here's the thing. Here's how it works. It's very simple. I would even say that. It's very simple. This is how it works. This is how big the opportunity is. Sorry, I know we're running out of time, but one important question left is, what's the biggest risk between getting to the vision that we talked about before, the 10-year vision? What's the biggest risk? Like if you don't get there outside of capital, what would be the reason?
What would be the reason?
Like what is the hardest part of this?
I would say the hardest part.
I have an idea.
Yeah, tell me what you think. I would love to hear.
I think the hardest part, as with many businesses, is just marketing. So when you get millions of moms, on the platform engaged, like it's marketing. And marketing is going to be the key. I have no doubt product recommendations are going to be great. And it sounds like you've made a lot of progress with artificial intelligence and machine learning. But I think, getting people to the site in a cost-effective manner, meaning, what the estimated lifetime value is once you get a mom on the site, and you have to compare that to what the cost is to advertise to get that mom onto the site, and make sure it's a good return. Make sure that the lifetime profit is 3 or 4 times the cost to acquire. Nowhere in this deck did you talk about how you're going to acquire them, and what your cost of acquisition is. If you've had any trials that you've done, spending money, what cost were you able to get them, and then what is the unit economics? Like, what is the lifetime profit of a mom that you do get on, and how are you able to retain them? That's a really big part.
Yeah, it's on the financials here, but it's obviously not clear.
No, it's not. You got to have a separate slide on show me how you're going to get a 40 CAC. I see that there. How do you get a 40 CAC? Have you done experiments? Have you done it? And then show me the unit economics of what's the lifetime profit of a customer. So you get a customer in, like, what percentage they come back? How often do they stay? How much do they spend? What's the profit on that? And compare the CAC to the profit. It should be 3 or 4x profit to the CAC. There needs to be a slide on that. I would call it, unit economics, maybe 2 slides. One is sort of, marketing, how we intend to get these moms, what's our strategy, and then the unit economics of it. So I'll stop there because I know we're running out of time. But Monica, I think you're definitely onto something here. I think it has a lot of potential. I think if you just reconfigure the deck a bit, I think you'll be in good shape to go out and raise money.
I really appreciate it, Mark. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.